Hey, she's a female. You couldn't tell the difference?
Oh, my bad.
I'm going to let her give the report tonight.
Be just as good.
Well, we win as the most fun committee, by the way.
Yeah.
Miss Denham, have you got the time as 6 o'clock or so?
I do.
All right. Mr. Gamenon, would you be so kind as to lead us? You and George.
I thought he may have been gone.
What's that? I was gone.
Oh, Mr. Gamenon, would you lead us in prayer, sir?
Yes, sir. I'll be glad to. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day and for its many blessings. Thank you, dear God, for your Son, Jesus. In him we have all hope. Thank you, dear Father, for our country and our county. Pray, dear Lord, that you would help each of us to make decisions that would bring honor and glory to you. Help us in all that we do and watch over us. We'll be mindful to give you the praise. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, sir. Let's do a roll call real quick. If everybody just take time, let us know who all's here. I'm here. I see Billy's here. Paul?
All good here.
Mr. Witt?
Oh, sorry.
Here.
Mr. Foster?
Here.
Michelle?
Here.
Mr. Nipper?
I'm here, sir.
All right. Mayor's here. I saw that. Ben, we know, is here because he left his dog locked out outside. David, I know you're on there. And anybody else that we're missing from committee? All right, I think we're good. And I'll try not to add anybody this month. How about that? So.
And I would also like to note that what we're recommending they do with voting is when you make a motion, say a motion by, second by, and say your name. And then we'll ask if anyone, if everyone agrees, everybody just say aye. But then if anyone objects, please say their name.
Yes, ma'am. All right. With that, we'll open, take a motion for approval of the agenda.
Motion, Foster.
All right. And a second from Mr. Witt then?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, passed unanimously. And as always, anything that passed unanimously on the budget does not require a second reading. Recognition of the public. Did you get any emails, Ms. Denham or Ben?
We didn't, Mr. Long, did y'all?
No.
All right, and we'll move forward. If anybody, any other commissioners, I see Jeremy's on here, and anybody else that wants to, do the little hand wave thing, we'll be glad to call on you like we always have. And I will make a motion for approval of the minutes from January 11th.
Second, Foster.
Thank you, Jerry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, sounds good. All right, on my
Do we have to approve the minutes from December also again to correct?
Oh yeah, thanks. Thank you, Mr. Witt.
I'm so move.
Thank you, ma'am. And I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passed unanimously. Thank you. And I think everything else that we messed up, or that I messed up, we put into old business, so we should be good. And I will actually hold off on my announcement. The only thing I was going to say is been talking with Dr. Phillips and some other people on some different things. And when we have the COLA pop up, I think we might have something that we can vote on tonight finally. So with that said, I'll move on to the county mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of items on this agenda tonight, and I'd like to discuss those when they're brought up, unless there's any questions for me right now.
Thank you, sir. I think we're good. Mr. Long, would you like to go ahead and do your part?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I have the revenue analysis. It's on page 3 through 5. The first page is highway, and we're looking much better than anticipated. The gas tax is below prior fiscal year for the first 6 months at around $76,000, but we're somewhere significantly above what we anticipated for the actual highway, so it looks much better. Same thing in general fund. It's about a 1.2 million more than anticipated, but we did budget about $2.3 million more of fund balance. And then debt service looks significantly better versus the budget. We're not going to have to dip into the reserve, so it looks very good at this point. Does anybody have any questions? And then item B is just the memorandum telling that the financial statements will be on the website the morning of the county commission meeting. And that is all for my report.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Witt, we already covered number A in old business. Number B is the IT. And what this is we've kind of talked about, there's different systems we have that have just gotten old and are kind of done. And one of those is our camera systems throughout the county. The 90,000 is what it would take to replace the EMS ECC building, which obviously is has a little bit of Homeland Security issues with it also. And we also wanted to include 200,000, and that's for the county administrative building, and that's inside and outside. Currently, we don't have any cameras that are functioning that well, but we certainly don't have any outside, and that would cover the entire parking lot and surrounding area. What I'd like to do on this is present it for the entire commission to vote on. I think this is one of those things that everybody should have a chance to say if we do or don't for both of those, rather than us decide on either one. So I make the motion that we approve them both for discussion on the general meeting.
Second, Deanne DeWitt.
Thank you, ma'am. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Passed unanimously. Next is a COLA for the employees, and we're kind of excited about this. Dave and I were talking with Mayor Holt and some others, and we're kind of thinking, if everybody's agreed, what we'd like to do is do a one-time bonus right now of 1% of every employee's salary, and then give that to them as a one-time bonus. March, whenever we can do it, April, whenever we get it processed through, but for the previous calendar year. And then when July comes and we actually start looking, see if we can't do a 3% raise also. But we just felt that if we did 1% right now, one, they won't notice as much, but two, we wanted to kind of get something to help employees right now after this past year. So we thought the one-time bonus puts a little more money in people's pockets, gives them maybe catch up on some things they're behind on. And then we can look at doing the 3% later. Dr. Phillips is going to try and do the same thing with the schools. But I so move for discussion.
Second, Paul Good.
David, thank you for the reporting that you included with the agenda. It's really helpful to look at all of the departments this way. I wanted to just one question. When I was noticing this is really not related to the COLA discussion, but just because it's part of the materials, under the EMS category, there's the overtime pay for COVID testing. And I'm just curious, I know we also have some other sort of temporary staff, like those that are taking temperatures on the way into the administration building. And I don't know if there's others like that in other, other facilities, but where do those get captured? Are there other temporary staff?
Some of those are actually paid through, and Mr. Holt can tell you the name of the group. Is it Workforce
Essentials?
Well, what that is CARES Act money. It flows through the work group, which is Workforce Essentials. But it's basically CARES Act money that is for people who've been laid off. He was laid off of Volunteer State Community College. And then that money is used to hire those people and put them in a position for a short period of time. Hopefully they can find employment during that time. Does that make sense?
They're not flowing through us, Mr. Witt. They're
not? Okay. And
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
kind of what I was wondering. So the COVID testing though is flowing through us now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll just speak in favor of the plan that you've put together. I think, Chris, you just said this, but just to emphasize, I think a 1% adjustment in their base pay right now would not have nearly the same type of impact as a one-time bonus of that magnitude. And I just appreciate where we're headed going into next fiscal year.
Can I make one clarification? We're talking about fiscal year, Mr. Taylor, Commissioner Taylor, aren't we? You said calendar year, but I think we mean
Yes, sir.
fiscal year.
Thank you, David. Yes, fiscal year. Yeah, calendar year wouldn't be very generous. Anybody have any other questions? Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, passes unanimously, and I don't see any wave. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Can you clarify that anything that's unanimous doesn't
Yes,
require second reading?
Yep, we'll
You
say that
already did that,
again.
actually.
But you know what? But there's nothing wrong with saying it 2 or 3 times. So
Oh, did you say it earlier on? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we're good, David. That's all right.
Yeah,
No,
you got it covered.
Or I missed that somewhere along the way.
Oh, you're fine, buddy. All right, so on to new business. If you want to cover any education, David.
There's nothing unusual. They're passed through and or just informational items.
I so move, group and approve. Entertain a
Second.
second.
Nipper.
Thank you, Justin. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, sir. Appropriations. David, go ahead for the first one because it's a little bit different than what we normally have.
Item 1 was included in the original budget, and then the date was changed and the actual name and the funding source was changed. It was resubmitted to us as a new grant, so it was actually in there twice. We need to remove the original because it has the wrong funding source and the wrong usage. So this is just actually house cleaning to remove the original $25,000. We don't want it appropriated in revenue twice and may inadvertently get spent. So yeah, we're just asking this to be removed from the budget.
Yes, sir. I so move. Do I have a second?
Second, good.
Thank you, Paul. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passes unanimously. All right, next one is Sheriff's Office. Make a motion, we group and approve A and B. And it's just, go ahead. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, passes unanimously. All right, next one is Drug Court. Make the motion, we group and approve A and B.
Second, good.
Thank you, Paul. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Health Department, make the motion for their funding. Again, it's a grant. So
Second, Nipper.
thank you, Justin. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Drug Court, make a motion, we group and approve A and B.
Right, second, quit.
Thank you, Les. Thank you, Dina. Any discussion?
Is, question just about the THSO grant. Is that a notable increase from years past, or is that a, we have any?
I can give you an explanation. It's a grant that we receive each year, and this year we weren't sure we were going to receive it. The $43,000 is predominantly used to pay for one employee down there. If the employee is not paid by the grant, it'll be paid by local drug court fees. But usually we include this in the original budget, but there was a question whether or not they were going to receive the grant, and they've received it now.
Right, okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is the one we talked about at budget last year where we weren't sure if we were going to get it or not. And if we didn't, we would have to make up the difference. So luckily we don't have to make up the difference. Yeah.
Great.
Good question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. All right. Health, or no, we already did that one. Yeah, Health Department. Oh, we did that. Went out of order. I apologize. All right. Westmoreland Library. Make the motion for $3,000.
Second, Foster.
Thank you, Jerry. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, passes unanimously. All right, IT, it's $160,000 from capital projects, local fund balance to replace county health department phone system. This is one that's come up recently. We said we had some failing systems. This is another one. And obviously with everything that's gone on in COVID and vaccines, it's come to light how bad it's failing. So make the motion. Here a second.
Second,
Second, Bailey.
Thanks, y'all. Miss Jessica, whoever you choose to pick on that one, we'll say Mr. Good. All right, any discussion on that one? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. All right, this one, number 7, is for the county mayor's funding. What it is we know there's 3 maintenance workers that work for county general for the most part. And we know one is getting ready to retire pretty soon. He also is a jack of all trades. And what we're hoping to do, much like we did with the young lady in Mr. Holt's office, and we've done in other places in the various departments, is hire their replacement before they actually leave so we can train them ahead of time. And that's what we're looking to do on this one. So I so move.
Second, Billy.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Commander. And obviously this would be as soon as we got it passed that we would hire the person, just because they might be leaving a little sooner than we initially thought. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to say one thing.
Go ahead, sir.
If it's Jackie you're talking about, is it? Retiring? He's going to be hard to replace. He can do almost anything, everything. He really can.
Thank you, Billy, for saying that. Jackie plans to retire when I retire. And the problem is if we can't get somebody, and Jeff's done a great job. We got him basically for free with CARES Act money through Workforce. If we can't keep somebody on and have them trained, we can't just fill the position and expect that person to know what's going on and be able to function at a high level. And so maintenance will pretty much come to a grinding halt. So I think this is the best money you'll ever spend.
Commissioner Taylor, the total for this year for the resolution to come from unassigned fund balance, 10,134, but not for the resolution, but just for the committee's understanding is we're also, or Mr. Holt is, asking for this employee to be funded for next fiscal year also.
Yes, sir.
What is
Go ahead.
what's the amount?
The total is 10,134, and I'll give you the detailed sheet in the morning
Okay.
of the breakdown.
And that would be for this fiscal year, not next fiscal.
And next year it's around 64,000-ish, but we're also asking for a commitment for the committee to fund it next year because we'll need the employee next year also.
Obviously. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, passes unanimously. All right, we'll now go. The next one is for building and codes. It's a proposal for the county to assume environmental services. And what this is this is something that they've done through the state, and the state's kind of backing out. So in my mind, we have 2 options. We can either not take it on, it'll be done online, which may delay building permits because it's a part of it where they have to. Or the second part is if we do adopt it, we have to increase the fees to make sure we cover it and make it cost neutral. I'm kind of indifferent whichever way we go, but I just want to make sure we don't spend any money that we don't have to. This is one of those, I think it might be honestly a discussion for the entire commission to make that decision. But I kind of defer to y'all. If you don't think it should even go past that, then I'll certainly listen to y'all on what you think. And I make the motion for a discussion.
Mr. Chairman, may I comment just a minute?
Oh, real quick, let me get a second, Mr. Holt.
Second for discussion, Good.
Thank you. I heard Mr. Good say a second, so go right ahead, Mr. Holt.
I've talked to one of our commissioners and they have some reservations about this. I believe we've got a good person that could pick it up, and Mr. Worsham. But let me tell you why I brought this to this budget committee. The state is going to take this over, and everything's going to be online. We have all the files for the entire county. New septic systems may work when a builder's applying for 1 or 2. I don't know how it's going to work. There's a lot of uncertainty there. We have to do remediation for septic systems. We have the files for that. The state doesn't. But let me just say this to all of you, and I'm not throwing this on anybody. I want you to be aware of what's going on. We do not know what's going to happen. Environmental state environmental has been an issue for a while. During the Great Recession, they tried to pull everyone out, which Bo Fox has worked in this county a very, very long time. Mr. Worsham is fairly new, but they tried to pull them out and station them in Rutherford County, and that just wasn't going to work for a county our size. So I got our state legislators involved, and they stopped that. Of course, not a whole lot of activity was going on then. Fast forward to today, and Bo, a couple of years ago, was the only inspector environmentalist in the county, and then through encouraging our legislators, the TDEC brought some help in, part-time first and full-time. And so everything's been good. And we probably at one time got up to maybe a 3-month waiting period. Right now, everything's good. They're doing a good job. They're committed, and their workload's under control. But let me make you aware of this. If we go to the state online, there's some things that's not going to get taken care of. I've talked to our planner, Josh Sutta. I don't know how it's going to work or how long it's going to take to get these subdivision plats signed off on. They have to be signed off if it's out in the county by an environmentalist. Now, having said that, I'm not out trying to get additional fees. That's not my interest at all. My interest is to try to facilitate our builders, developers, and especially single individuals who want to build a home. There's a lot of building going on. So either way, we're taking a chance. One way, if we take it in-house, we have to raise the fees, because I am not for bringing it in-house and us losing a great deal of money. If we raise the fees, that's unpopular too. But let me say this to you. If I used an average price of $250,000 for a house, and this whole process got slowed down by 3 months, it took them 3 months to get a permit. The rate of inflation for building right now is about 5%. That would cost the home builder, the contractor, the developer, on a $250,000 home, and that's just a very starter home in Sumner County today, $3,125. Now, I don't care which way you go, but I want you to understand, if we let the state take it over, and that's fine, I'm fine with that, then we have no ability to help people. We don't have the staff to help people. If we do it in-house, we'll be full service. We know our turnaround times will be quick, but the cost has got to go up. So it's kind of a no-win situation for us. But that's not my intent, to try to make money. I just want to break even if we're going to take this thing on. And I know I'm going to kind of lean on Billy Gamenden, because he is on the front lines every day. He's out as inspector. He talks to a lot more people than I do. I think people would like it to stay the same. I think some people are going to be happy with doing it totally online with the state, as long as the turnaround time's fine and everything gets addressed. But we don't know if that's going to happen. So I want you to understand, either way you go, there could be some negatives, there could be some positives, but if it's going to take a while for these people to get their permit, you're going to start getting phone calls. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. And Billy, you may want to comment on what you've heard.
I do, Mr. Chairman, if I could. Are you there?
I think Chris had to go to the bathroom.
Oh, okay.
No, go ahead. I apologize. I couldn't click on the button fast enough, Mr. Committee.
Okay.
You went right ahead. I was terrible.
I will go ahead. And this is a good concept that we do this. But as Mr. Holt said, since we kind of started talking about this, every day I do meet several builders, contractors, individuals, even people that installers that put in septic systems, developers, and then also being on the planning commission, I know just a little bit, maybe enough to be dangerous about what goes into the planning of a subdivision. So this is what I see where we are today. I've talked to, like I said, several of the builders and developers and different ones. Every single one of them, I hadn't applied for a septic permit in a long time. And you apply online now through the state of Tennessee. Every single one of them that I talked to really likes the process. They like that process. A few of them said they would like to see us continue to have a presence. Some of them said it didn't make any difference to them whatsoever, whether we had a presence. They don't ever come to the county administration building anyway, except when they get a building permit, there's affidavits that they have to sign and have notarized. But here's the deal. Right now, you can go online, get a septic permit, and not even have to go anywhere else. But if we do take it over, you cannot go online and get anything because we don't have the IT backup for it. You can't pay for it online. You have to bring a cash or check. And then, but every single one of them said that they would trade the county's presence for the $250 less. In other words, right now, septic permit's $500 and it would have to go to $750. And you know, I know we all, and I'm not trying to say one way or the other. It really doesn't matter to me which way that we go on this, but I think it's a whole lot bigger process than we think sometimes, because we're talking about pretty much a whole new department almost. You know, 2 trucks, 2 inspectors. We already have the office, and it's actually already staffed with a secretary. So that's one good thing. But I'm just trying to give the information that I found out, because the different view that I've had the last few days is checking with the actual customers. They do not want to pay more money, and they're very satisfied with the way the state website is set up and how they get their permits. But on the other hand, I did talk to planning also, and it's not real clear how the state would handle the subdivision plats and work that out. So I would I'd hate for us to just say, no, not at all. We don't want to go down this path. But I'd also hate for us to jump out and do something that we would regret. I remember about a year and a half or 2 years ago, the environmentalist phone rings in our office, and I wanted to take wire cutters and cut it loose. But lately, the state has straightened all that stuff out. Actually, they've spent millions of dollars on their IT, and they've got all that straightened out. And the environmentalists would work out of their trucks. But then on the other hand, I'd kind of like for us to take a little more time and kind of see what shakes out on something that's pretty much brand new, which way that we should go. And that's just me.
Mr. Gamenon, is that an amendment to put it off for a month until Josh can do a little research and find out how the state's planning on handling the multiple plots and subdivisions?
I mean, well, first of all, see if Joel has anything that he would like to add. He is he's someone that's interested in the heading this up, and I've talked to Bo also. I've talked to Joel, and I just you know, hate to for us to just knock it in the head, but yet I see that it's a whole lot bigger deal than we might think.
Well, Mr. Gamenon, I'll say this to Joel's here, so we want to hear from him, but Do y'all think this is something we should wait right now and get a little more research on? Or Joel, do you think you can clarify this for us real quick?
Well, it will be fully staffed in current situation right now. It'll be staffed all the way to the end of June. So you will not see any changes that are drastic until then. So I think you got at least that long to research and get what you need. Now, when it comes to the plats and signing, we don't really work directly with Josh often. Most of the time we work with the local surveyors, and we meet there at their offices, or, you know, just on the side of the road somewhere to sign a plat. So that issue is kind of almost at this moment mute, unless there's some major things. The only thing that comes into play with Josh and his end is doing plat amendments. Say if somebody wants to have a pool and it's in their shaded area, that's where it's going to become a very laborious and extended period.
Anybody have
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, go
how
ahead.
would it be? How would it be to make an amendment that we put this off and it go through the normal budget process? Would that be too much in that process, or should we just defer it for 2 months?
Well, he said we've got till June. My thinking is we could defer at least a month, and we know we need to look into what happens on some of the multiple plats and some of the other things that Joel just brought up too, to make sure there's an alternative online. And if there's not a good alternative, that may sway a lot of people's opinions to what we need to do.
Mr. Chairman, as a
Yes, sir.
suggestion also, you and Mr. Gaminden are on our planning commission. I would love for you to discuss that, you and Commissioner Gaminden in planning, and so we can
Yes, sir.
work out some of the details, because that's the issue right now. There's so much uncertainty. I don't even think Joel knows what's going to happen after June the 30th. And we need to be prepared no matter what happens. So I agree with Mr. Gaminden, Commissioner Gaminden, we don't want to be rash, but at the same time, we can't wait until July the 1st and say, oh,
Yeah.
what are we going to do now? So let's address it in planning. And like you said, let's push it off a month or two and get all our details, because listen, I'm 100% behind not raising the fee. If this is going to work out and everything's going to be simple and nothing gets delayed. But I can tell you, we're going to start getting phone calls. They're going to be screaming bloody murder. And Billy, you mentioned it. If people get pushed out 3 or 4 months, because that costs them a tremendous amount of money.
Yes, sir.
Mr.
There's a
Chairman,
motion. Go ahead, Mr. Scoot.
I don't think there is a motion on the floor, is there?
There's an original motion for discussion, so we don't really have anything we have to act on. If we want to wait until next month and just retire this to old business, if y'all want to. Go ahead.
You say there is a motion on the floor?
Yes, sir. We had a motion for discussion, and then
If the maker of the motion and the second would withdraw, I would make a motion that we defer for 2 months to get this due diligence done.
I would second that, Billy.
all right, and I'm good withdrawing it. Any discussion on Mr. Good's motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Good.
Mr.
Appreciate you.
Chairman,
You go right ahead, sir.
let me just add that, and maybe Commissioner Nipper can speak to this. I can't remember exactly how many days in delay the county mayor referred to that these things could happen. I'm thrown off by the reflection of Billy's dining room table in the window, but in all seriousness, I've dealt with a couple of developers in recent months that didn't have locked rates And LIBOR's changed a little bit. I don't know if Mr. Nipper wants to speak to this because there's grapevine talk that LIBOR might change in the next 60, 90 days. And if there's continued delays like the mayor is speaking of, it's going to cost people a heck of a lot more money than it is for the permits.
Then the extra $250. Yes, sir.
Exactly. So, and Mr. Nipper knows more about the banking and mortgage business than I ever will. So he may want to speak to it, but I do think it's something that we need to get our due diligence done on as soon as possible. And it might be able to come back next month. I say 2 months for the sake of due diligence.
Yes, sir. Everybody good with that? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, passes unanimously. Thank you, sir. David, you want to hit the TDOT proposal?
I think Mr. Holt was going to hit that, but I think Ms. Harden was going to call him because concerns.
Go ahead, sir.
I'll be glad to talk about this. This passed legislative. This is a state aid bridge that needs to be replaced, and basically legislative passed a resolution that gives me the authority I have to sign the contract for TDOT. I talked to Ms. Harding today. She's fine with it. They replace the bridge and then take care of the maintenance. So it's pretty straightforward, unless you got any other questions.
I make the motion.
Second, Billy.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, pass unanimously. Thank you, sir. Ms. Denham, is anything? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, David, on the transfers.
There's nothing out of the ordinary. There's 3 transfers between payroll line items involving retirements or transfers and overtime due to vacant positions and the coronavirus. But otherwise, there's nothing out of the ordinary.
Sir, make the motion that we group and approve 1 and 2.
Second, Nipper.
Thank you, Justin. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Ms. Denham, anything weird on the tax refunds? I'm gonna take that awkward silence as a no.
No, I'm sorry. Trying to find the button.
Make the motion that we give the tax refunds back.
Second, Foster.
Thank you, Jerry. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No dissents. Passed unanimously. And I do agree with the statement Mr. Witt said earlier. We take care of our business, but we do have more fun than probably any other committee. Sorry, Michelle. One more motion.
Move to adjourn, Foster.
Thank you, Jerry. Let's get out of here, y'all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Y'all too. Be careful. Be safe.
Have a great evening.